So we decided that we will start with
Good morning.
Hello, Anna Maria.
Hello.
Hello, Anna Maria.
Hello, Professor.
So we decided that we will start with the online presenters, if it's okay with you. Okay.
Totally fine.
Okay, thank you all for coming to this panel regarding the publishing in leading scientific journals and discussing with the editor-in-chiefs regarding particularity of some journals and some issues that you may have and questions, suggestions that you might, if you get the suggestion from the editor-in-chiefs, what is their perspective on publicating your work in their journals. So first, I would like to introduce who the panelists will be. We have Professor Soteris Karaoglu from the editor-in-chief of the Renewable Sustainable Energy Reviews. We have Professor Anna Maria Bonomano from the energy, the editor-in-chief of the Energy Reports. We have here in person with us Sir Hrvoje Wang, editor-in-chief of the Energy Journal. We have Christos Markides from the editor-in-chief of the Applied Thermal Engineering. And also we have Professor Kathleen Avizo, here, the executive editor from the Journal of Cleaner Production. So I hope that you will be satisfied with our panelists. And now I give the floor to Professor Soteris. So with your first presentation.
Okay. I need to get permission to show my presentation, which is apparently I don't have. Do you hear me?
Yeah. Just give us a few seconds.
The message I get is the host isn't allowing you sharing for this webinar. Now I can share. Okay. Yeah. All right. Here we are. Share. And
perfectly we see it.
Yeah, we'll put in presentation mode.
Now you can share your insights on
journal. Now?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, let's start it. Okay, I'm going to talk. I don't know if that is the proper. I mean, if it should be the first one, but anyway, because it's very specific, it's writing a review paper for Renewable and Sustainable Energy Reviews Journal. I know there have been some problems with some people to identify or to understand our guide to authors and follow them closely. So it was decided to show exactly what we are looking for, so as not to receive a lot of out-of-scope papers. I will not go into details into this slide, just to say that I have a lot of years of experience, let's say, in editorial work for more than 20 years in total. I was involved with energy, renewable energy as editor-in-chief, energy as deputy editor-in-chief for 10 years, renewable energy for 11 years, plus associate editor before, and now I'm editor-in-chief of Renewable and Sustainable Energy Review. So I will focus on this last journal that I'm editing now. This shows, okay, this previous, let's say, work I have done with journals. I'm still involved somehow in both of these journals. I mean, in renewable energy, I'm still handling the special issue papers, actually not handling the papers themselves, but only the evaluation of accepting a special issue proposal. Whereas in energy journal, I handled together with Wang and Henrik Lung, the previous editor-in-chief, the review papers, and also I handled the review process of those papers as well. So I'm still involved somehow in the journals that I used to work before. Out of courtesy, because I spend a lot of my life in these journals, and it's nice that I keep some close relations with them. I will now go to this journal. I'm editor-in-chief, and some general, let's say, features of the journal is that I'm leading the journal from the 1st of January 2025. Of course, Elsevier journal qualified as Q, and actually is the top of the category of renewables and energy in general in Elsevier. We have 4 section editors, we have 9 associate editors, a lot of editorial board members. We have a high rejection rate, actually, of more than 80%. However, the impact factor is quite high, 60.3, and we hope to be able to increase this even further to make it even better, the journal. As a journal, we cover a lot of areas. You see biomass, biophotovoltaic, solar thermal, wind energy, desalination, solar and low energy architecture, climatology and meteorology, geothermal technology, wave, tide, and ocean thermal energies, hydropower, hydrogen production. And from the sustainability point of view only, we cover also fuels, natural gas, power systems, and electricity, but only with respect to sustainability, because the title of the journal is Renewable and Sustainable Energy Reviews. Actually, the title of the journal, ever since I took over, we make an editorial board meeting and have a thorough discussion with all the editors, and we decided that we will focus more closely to the review nature of this journal, as the title of the journal says, it's reviews. So the types in principle we accept is review papers, which these are the primary papers we accept. We can accept also special type of research papers. I will say more in a few minutes. We also accept perspective papers, which are done by invitation by the editor-in-chief only. Types of papers not accepted. Actually, this list contains the papers that used to be accepted in the past from the previous editorial, let's say, management of the journal. We don't accept them anymore, but just to give you a brief, let's say, list of those papers, we used to accept experimental or research papers, country or region-specific papers, bibliographic literature review papers. I would say more about that as well, because we do receive a lot of this actually until now. Case studies, fieldwork, interviews and surveys, even that kind of papers in this kind of journals out of question. And also papers related to nuclear energy, we decided to exclude them because we consider them, which I fully agree, of course, with that nuclear energy is non-renewable and it's not sustainable. Some requirements, the same requirements apply also for special issues, and we make sure that the guest editors understand these requirements very well, and also to avoid problems and putting a paper under review and then having to reject it after the review process. I check all the submissions in the special issues before these are assigned to the handling editor of the special issue. So also special issue submissions need to focus on the review nature of the journal. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the research papers for ourselves. By definition, the scope, it says this thing here. A research paper submitted to Renewable Sustainable Energy Reviews Journal needs to have a significant review element of the subject into consideration, followed by a research component in the form of critique, comparison, or analysis of the subject. What that does mean, it means that approximately 60 to 70% of the paper needs to be devoted as a review of the subject handle. The rest of the paper should be a short research on the findings of the review. So the review process ends up to 1 or 2 ideas. You can do a little bit of research on this, and this component by definition needs to be in the form of critique, comparison of analysis of the subject, or a little bit more research into this area. It's not the real research paper that is actually accepted by many other journals. Normal research papers with short literature review section, which is the normal actually thing, to use the subject mainly to identify the gaps in knowledge, are not considered suitable for this journal. And also even these kind of papers that have a lot of research papers, but the review section is quite small, and the rest of the literature is just devoted to support the equations used or the method used or the model used and all these things. These are also not a review actual element and are not suitable for our journal. We also don't like to have this, what we call bibliographic literature review papers. Actually, there is no science in the derived results. It's obtained by analyzing the papers published in related literature and find correlations between either research centers or people or researchers or countries or subject areas or keywords and things like that. I have just one example. It's not the only one here. For example, this one you see interpretation. There is no science in this. If a lot of things are related to entrepreneurship, which is obviously a very generalistic term. So showing this kind of analysis, and some of those papers are only focused on this kind of analysis, to do this literature search and find these correlations. We believe that nothing, anything new presented in that case, and we don't accept them. Or this kind of thing in the United States and Canada, and the interaction between research carried in various countries, it can be by chance that a few professors, for example, in this kind of slide, that are working in the United States that have done a lot of research in one area, it doesn't mean that the whole research of that area is focused on that country, and that the others are just spin-offs of that research. So we believe that this kind of analysis is not showing anything scientifically important, and that's why we don't accept them. And some, as I said already, some of those bibliographic review papers are only doing this kind of analysis, nothing more than that. Now, to do this, just to identify some areas, maybe it's at the boundaries of what we accept, but not focus exactly on this kind of analysis. I would also say some general requirements about review papers that maybe some of them are well known, but it's better to identify and clarify that we are looking for these elements. For example, such a good review paper must examine the subject in detail in all its aspects, examine all the major works published in a particular subject, that is the subject of the review, of course, usually include a short historical introduction at the beginning just to support or show the originators of the idea and how the science developed into that area. These papers usually have a lot of cited papers. A very good review paper must have more than 100 papers cited. We often receive review papers with 20 or 30 or 40, or anyway, much lower than that number, which cannot be a good review or a quality review. If that amount of published work is the only one, it means that the review paper on that area is quite premature. It's not at the point of that area of examination, is not to a point of being able to produce a good review paper. We are interested to see also critical analysis of the major findings, which should be carried out with correlations of who did the first, for example, experiment in that area, and who took that results and built on that, find this kind of relations and how the science is advanced in this particular area. Of course, I cannot go into details. It's generic things, these things that I mentioned. And generally speaking, when we do a review paper, it's quite difficult work to collect all this information, do this critical analysis, find this way of presenting, a very good way of presenting with nice diagrams and nice tables, comparison tables and all these things, and comparison figures as well. So when this is done properly, it's quite a difficult work. It's not easy to do. Usually, the last part of a good review paper is to show the future research trends in that area or the perspective of that area. One thing that we have in mind is not in the slides, and I want to say that orally, is that with this artificial intelligence world that we live nowadays, this kind of papers, the review papers, are the easiest thing to produce with artificial intelligence because there is no new science behind it. It's just a collection of already published works. So we have this in mind, and we're always looking to find ways that nowadays you see some papers with very, very nice diagrams, but definitely it's beyond the imagination of somebody, and they are definitely produced with artificial intelligence. But the thing is that at the moment, we have nothing to prove that such work is machine generated, is not generated by the user. We also have a problem with the review process related to the artificial intelligence. Many authors that they don't like some results, they say, okay, this reviewer produced his comments with machine or with artificial intelligence, and they are all generic. Some of them are really correct. And you can see when you read the comments that is, they say a lot of things, but in a very generic way without specifying something specific for the paper in question. So it's not easy, but it's possible in that case to find whether a reviewer is doing this kind of work. And if it's done properly, it's not a problem, but usually it's not done properly. Just generate them, copy paste them into the system, and just present it without spending time to go through the paper even quickly and see that these comments are really valid. Okay, generally talking, I don't know how much time I have, first of all, because I have some general things. Do we have time, or I have to lower it to up to here, let's say, because from here it's rather generic, the nature of my presentation. It's another 2-3 slides, of course, but
so please continue, but we expect that everyone will have 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
That we have time for the questions from the audience.
All right, I didn't know that. Okay. What is a good literature review? What is a literature review, first of all? This can be a standalone report, paper. As we all know, is part of the very first chapter of a thesis or a dissertation. Is usually literature review the subject to see where our idea stands with respect to the already published literature. It enables the reader in general to get to know the relevant history, what is new, what is relevant, what is debatable, what is necessary, what else can be done into this area. We also understand the current level of the state of the art in that research, of the research in that field. So it's an important element of any research project. And of course, as a paper itself, is also present this overview of that subject, which gives some other ideas and maybe shows the way forward to that area. In the case of a thesis particularly, we see that our research is in the context of existing or relevant research in the field, shows that the author knows or the correct or accepted or reliable or acceptable methods that are followed in this field. Evaluate your research question then as a researcher, as a PhD student, let's say, according to the aims and objectives of your work in relation to the existing knowledge, and this can be done in order not to repeat the same research again, because then you fail to get your PhD, and you spend a lot of time in doing it unless and finally you find out that somebody else already did that kind of work and there is no novelty in your work. And most of the universities, a decent university at least, that if they discover that such a thing, they will not give you eventually a PhD. So it's important to know what is relevant, what's existing already, in order not to repeat it and just claim it as yours because it's something which is not correct eventually. The main components is that we need to have a definition of relevant key concepts and theories, the historical development of the subject, issues, questions, differences in theories and methodology, if there are, of course. These are quite generic, so some of them may not apply to all papers. The positions or opinions of various groups of academics or politicians of general public, especially in subjects related to environment or pollution or policy or these kind of things. Always they come also this kind of out of academic world, let's say, positions of people. Critical review of relevant literature, what has been done, how it's been done, the gaps in knowledge, the points of comparison of controversies between the sources of showing the way forward to your area or to somebody that is want to follow that area. You need to, as a good author of a good review paper, to show these things to a third person. Justification for research in this area. Why the topic needs to be researched further in relation to the limitations of existing knowledge, if there are limitations? Because if there aren't, then you're just spending your time without doing anything. So it's an important element of work, and especially in kind of in the case of PhD thesis for the students. What would be the future developments in the area, the perspective? This is something which will be very much interesting to, as a person that investigates the subject thoroughly in all possible dimensions. You should be able to give this future direction to somebody and give the way forward. Of course, this may not happen eventually, but at least you need to show your own opinion about this as author, I mean, on these issues. And finally, if there are any, we need to identify and specifically show the benefits for the industry, for the community, at the national or international level, and so on and so forth, for the community, for the new researchers, and so on. That's all I have to show. Thank you for your attention, and good luck for you in the journal. And I will be happy to answer questions when the discussion starts. Thank you very much. I will have to stop.
Thank you, Professor Kaloiru.
Share. Okay.
We are now moving to Professor Buonomano with her 10 to 15
Good morning,
minutes.
good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'll try to share my presentation as well. Okay.
Yes, we see it. Thank you. So
Perfect.
we start.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the invitation, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm truly sorry I couldn't be with you in Shenzhen, but I'm very happy to contribute remotely. My name is Anna Maria Buonomano, Professor of Applied Thermodynamics at the University of Naples, Federic II, and I'm also serving as Editor-in-Chief for Energy Reports, an open access journal published by Elsevier. Today, I will share with you very practical recommendations from an editorial perspective on how authors can promote their work to maximize its visibility and impact, of course, and I'll try to make this topic as more interesting as possible. In my role as editor-in-chief, I handle hundreds of submissions every year and across a wide range of topics, especially in the energy field. And what I find fascinating is that after publication, some papers gain visibility, are widely read and cited, while others sometimes are equally strong and from the scientific point of view remain almost invisible. So, and I believe that many of us have experienced this in our career. So one of the questions we need to ask ourselves is why promotion matters. First of all, we live in a time of information overload, probably due also to the spread of artificial intelligence tools. So a significant number of research articles are published every year. Only at Energy Reports, as an example, submission increased by 20% over the past year. This means that even excellent research papers can get lost if they are not visible. So promoting your work is not anymore an option. It is crucial. It is part of the publication and dissemination process. So today I will briefly guide you through how to select the right journal to target the right audience, how to promote your article to maximize visibility and impact, and how to track and measure the performance of your article and adjust your strategy, your dissemination and promotion strategy accordingly. We need to remember that visibility does not happen passively, automatically, but it is something that we need to plan in advance while we write our papers. So a key message that I want to leave is that publication is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of the journey, because in this world of submission, you need to promote your paper to make sure that it is read and then is cited and then can make impact in the real world. So impact today is not creating only by writing strong science, so it is important to have a strong publication, but it is created by making your research visible, by choosing the right journal, promoting your work, tracking results, and adjusting the strategy. As I said before, even excellent studies often remain unnoticed simply because maybe they are hard to find, maybe they are not published on the right journal, so they didn't target the right audience, maybe they are not clearly presented, or they are not actively promoted. So we need to design our visibility strategy. And I will go in the next slides trying to suggest you how to find the right journal, how to promote it, and how to track performance to understand whether your efforts are working. The message is you need to propose, yeah, of course, but we must actively design and plan our strategy to ensure that our research get published, get viewed, and get cited. These are the three pillars of our dissemination and our promotion strategy. More in general, we need to remember that visibility is important not only to get citation, because citation is one of the indicators to measure impact, but it's also important to support technology transfer, to engage with industry partners, to build your reputation among peers, and to attract funding, which is very, very much important. It is the measure of our impact as a researcher is a multi-domain aspect. So you need to put effort, we all need to put effort because visibility creates opportunity and opportunity creates value for us, for our career, but also for the society. So not only for ourselves, but for the society. In order to make your article discoverable, you can do very simple action that can drastically improve how easily your paper is found online, especially by considering how search engine works. These simple actions are very easy, but are very crucial and sometimes are forgotten by the authors. First of all, I suggest you choose relevant keywords with strong research potential. Of course, these keywords must reflect the content, the real content of your manuscript. Include them in the title and the abstract. Make title and abstract very straightforward and clear, with clear citation headings and meaningful captions for your figures as well. And don't forget to connect your work with strong and recognized sources, for example, IEA, to make your work more credible and easier to discover. So this small action that seems very insignificant, but it can help search engines index your work in the proper way and make it easier to discover your manuscript. From my editorial perspective, I consider the title and abstract are the most powerful promotional tools. So if they are clear and compelling, your chance of being discovered increase dramatically, and also your chance of being reviewed properly increase dramatically. Another crucial aspect, as I said before, and is important, very much important for all of us, is selecting the right journal. One of the main reasons strong papers receive little attention and very often is poor journal selection. Maximize visibility is not only finding the journal, is not only correlated to the journal with the highest impact, but is correlated with the journal with the right audience. So a great paper deserves to be read by the proper audience. So I suggest very importantly to find the right journal in a very good way. How can you do it? What strategy can you use in order to choose it? First of all, try to consider the reputation of the publisher. Publishing with a well-established and credible publisher increases trust in your work and improves its visibility within the scientific community. Second, it is important to check the indexing coverage of the journal. Is the journal indexed in major databases such as Scopus or Web of Science? This is important because it is huge impact on whether your article will be found or not by your peers. And then I also recommend asking advice, consulting your colleagues, mentors, and collaborators. This is especially true for young researchers and PhD students, that often your collaborators, they know they are much more experienced and can recommend journals that are suitable for your topics. But I also suggest to try gaining insights from the authors that you read and that you cite in your field. Try to look at the journal where these authors publish, and this is often the community that you want to reach as well. Another way to find the right journal, if you didn't get information, if you're not happy with a journal that suggested by your colleagues or found online, is to use journal finders tools. There are many journal finder tools by different publishers. In Elsevier, in particular, is shown in this slide, proposed the journal finders tool that very easily analyzes your title, your abstract, your keywords, and provide a list of journals aligned with your topic, along with impact metrics, publication speed, open access option. And you can also sort this list according to what you prefer. Let's say you want to understand which is the fastest journal that provides the possibility to publish in a very short time. This tool help also, I like to say, it also helps editors reducing their workload due to auto-scope papers. So, and this also helps speeding up the whole review process time. So I really recommend, before submitting your paper, to check the journal finders tool, add your abstract, and get information about this tool. Another option, the tool also suggests you, as I said before, that there are several criteria to select a journal, and one of the most to get the right journal and in order to get to reach your audience and to maximize your visibility. One of the most effective ways to increase visibility is, of course, publishing in open access. Open access removes subscription barriers, allowing anyone, anywhere in the world to read your work without restriction. It provides global reach and a broader audience, including professionals working in industry and policy environments, higher visibility and often higher citation, faster dissemination of results, strong societal engagement, allowing you to reach engineers, decision makers, stakeholders outside academia, and compliance also with funding policies. Sometimes we have some, let's say in Europe, we have the Horizon Europe program. It's a funding program that requires to publish OA. In energy research, there are multiple solutions and multiple options to publish open access, both in fully open access journal like Energy Reports, where I serve as editor-in-chief, but you can also opt for the open access option in subscription journal like Renewable Energy and Sustainable Reviews and Energy, where Professor Wang and Professor Kalogiro are editor-in-chief. Something that we must remember is that accessibility provided by open access is crucial, and later I will give you an example of how much it can impact on your research and on your visibility. Of course, open access requires fees, so also known as the article publishing charge, the APC. These fees can be reduced or covered through institutional agreements, funding support, or discount based on eligibility. So before submitting, especially in open access, in fully open access journal like Energy Reports, where I'm the editor-in-chief, I really suggest or recommend you to check whether your institution supports APC. And please remember that editors have a little or no power on financial aspect of journals. Publishing open access, of course, ensure your work to be accessible, not only by academics, but most importantly, also by industry professionals, policymakers, professionals in developing countries, and in general the public. And this wider accessibility often leads to higher visibility, more citation, and faster scientific progress, and basically it provides greater impact to your research, which is at the end of the journey is what we really want. Concerning Energy Reports, the journal I serve as editor-in-chief, it is a multidisciplinary, fully open access journal, where there is no option for subscription. The journal covers a large spectrum of energy research and publishes both review and original papers. I don't want to go into more details about my journal, but I invite you to submit your work and to get in contact with me for more information. Going back to how to promote your journal, let's say that your article is published. So at this point, the work is not finished. This is actually the moment when promotion begins. So you need to start sharing your work through scholarly network. Let's say some example are ResearchGate, academia, in order to connect with your peers, exchange ideas, and make your work more visible within the community. You can also use free access links provided by the publisher, Elsevier does it. These links allow readers to access your article even when you have published with a subscription, and let's say you can use it for a limited period, in general 15 days, but this helps you to increase early readership and visibility of your work. And then try to share your article with colleagues, collaborators, and research partners, basically your closest network, but also not very close, by exploiting social network like LinkedIn and all other typical networks that can improve and can help you to gain higher long-term visibility. So promotion is simple, but also powerful. We need to put effort, and we need to consider that this as part of the dissemination activity. So when the paper is published, the dissemination part starts. So we need to promote it and to make sure that our paper reach the audience and reach the impact that it deserves. As I said before, you can get discovered online on your LinkedIn page. So I also suggest you to get an online presence, also because it is useful also to be recognized as an author. You can use LinkedIn or Seed. Also, you can try to have updated also your Scopus profile. Showcase your publication on personal institution also helps. Sometimes there are some institutions that allow you, some institution does. So I basically suggest you to use public, let's say like LinkedIn or Seed database. Another way to get discovered, of course, is presenting your research at conferences such as SDEWES and among professional meetings, let's say at professional meetings where you can remain in contact with people and you can directly and in person promote your work, well, both in person and online. And try to be clear, try to be simple when you write your information about your paper, to keep it simple. Share your summaries, visual and links, your article, and try to engage with the broader audience. Try to let people know that what you are doing, what you are working on. I don't know if there are some noises here, but I hope you can hear me. Anyway, another step that we need to consider when we publish our paper, when we have our paper published and we are promoted our paper, is to be sure that our promotional strategy is effective. So we need to track our performance. How can we track the performance of our work? We need to monitor citation, downloads, online engagement, geographical reach, collaborative networks. So this is all useful information that you can also find in your Scopus author profile to refine your strategy and understand who is reading and sharing your work. So as shown in this table, I really very like to share, to underline that impact includes multiple dimensions. So it's not only academia, not only university, not only citation and impact factor, but also societal engagement and reach the industry in order to transfer technology and focus on the real impact of your work on people and society, not only on our career as a researcher. I don't know if I just have a very few slides. I just want to share a real example from my own experience, a research group that shows how promotional is crucial. In 2021, we published an open access article in Renewable and Sustainable Energy Reviews. We promoted it online and it was noticed by an industrial stakeholder located in Estonia. We didn't know these people. They contacted us. So the interaction led to writing an Horizon Europe proposal, which was successfully funded in 2022. The project results and outcome, including research paper, were further disseminated through media channel, creating additional engagement with stakeholders and also improving our network connected to the specific research that at that time in 2021 was just limited to the publication of paper and studying, well, to the work of defining energy efficiency measure, but without really impact on the real world. So this story demonstrates, and I like it to share it because it demonstrates that visibility leads to higher engagement and creates opportunities. And opportunity creates real world impact, which is more valuable than citation itself. Let me conclude with a very few take-home message. So remember that to maximize impact is more than publish good science. It needs an effort from the authors and requires planning visibility from the very beginning. So make sure that your paper is a good paper, is very well written, is simple and clear. Use also clear title, abstract and keywords, sharing your work activity and trying to build a strong research identity. And of course, if you can, embrace open access whenever possible. The very last message that I want to tell you is to be clear. Clarity is crucial in your communication, whether in a scientific article, but also on a social media post, as well as in your dissemination activity. A strong scientific story, clear, accessible, and meaningful, is essential to reach the right audience and to create real impact. My presentation is done, so I thank you very much for your time, effort, and attention, and I hope I didn't take so much time to conclude it. Thank you very much. I'm here happy to reply to your questions.
Thank you, Professor Buonomano, for the presentation. We will continue with the on-site now presentation, and later on we will open the questions to the public. So we have now Professor Hrvoje Wang, the editor-in-chief of the Energy Journal, with us, and he will give his presentation now.
Okay, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So it's my great chance to introduce our energy journal to you. So my talk is focused on the energy journal, so progress, and also currently we want to get the focus more on energy because we have so bigger submissions. Actually, energy journal was started 50 years ago. So now this year, it will be our 50 years anniversary for this journal. You want to share? Okay, so I could continue. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we see the presentation.
Okay, so if we're talking energy, because we have several partner journals, applied energy and energy conversion and management, I think everyone, you are familiar that normally these three journals, because impact factor is very close and all in the Q1. So it was founded in 1976. So Professor Hinner from University of California, San Diego. And after nearly about 20 years, then came to the editor-in-chief, Professor Norman Leor from UPenn, University of Pennsylvania, actually. So he started from 1998 and 2009. So I was invited by Professor Norman Leor in 2005. At that time, he visited the Shanghai Jiaotong University and came to my office. He said, Professor Wang, I want to invite you to join the editor board of energy. So in this case, I joined the editor board in 2005. So then we had Heinrich Lund, start from January 2010. And so he's the editor-in-chief, and then Sotiris, Calogilo, and me become the deputy editor-in-chiefs. So we make collaboration. So from 2010 to 2024. So then just in the end of 2024, Elsevier have the strong policy that you need to make changes. So editor-in-chief, he cannot be editor-in-chief anymore for this journal. And for me and the authors, if we want to keep there, must be promoted. If it's not promoted, then you leave. So this is the policy. So then Heinrich Lund said, do you like to be promoted to be editor-in-chief? I think I did pride I could have a try. So then the publisher had an interview on me, and then finally they agreed. So then I became the editor-in-chief since the January 1st of 2025. And here, in this case, we have two deputy editor-in-chiefs, so Professor Nevin Dish and also Professor Paulo Cololano. So we three, in this case, leading this journal. So this is from January 1st, 2025. So now, currently we have many subject editors because we have bigger submissions, more than 30,000 submissions per year. And originally we have nearly every year publish about more than 4,000 papers, but last year we published 5,200. So that's really big number. So in this case, we have nearly about 30 subject editors, and according to different subject, so you selected, and then it will be assigned to the subject editors. But since we have so big numbers of submission, there's really a very big load for the subject editor. So then we learn from the applied energy and also energy conversion and management. They have manager editor. So the manager editor is normally very experienced people as the authors and the reviewers and the editors. They have the experience. And then they are invited, try to make a desk rejection according to the scope, and also have a simple, faster looking to see whether this paper is an academic paper. So in this case, we could nearly have a desk rejection. Now we have 6 manager editors, and they will make desk rejection nearly for about 50 to 60%. And so you could see that from 2021 and to 2025, So we have big increase for the publication. So last year, it was already 5,370. So I think I discussed it with Nevin. So we are in great danger because we have increased so big a number of the papers. And we also made some compilation to see applied energy, only about 1,100. And even they are reduced a little bit. And ECM is also very, very stable. So in this case, we have big challenges. So Neva and I, so we insisted to try to control more, but our publisher, she feels that's good because we have a big increase because it's impact. But for us, we have the constellation. If impact fact drop down from 9.4 to 8, something like that, then we will become Q2. If we become Q2, then we have serious problem. So in this case, now we wanted to let, because this year, 2026, it will be still increasing. So in this case, now we hope the publisher paper should be reduced to 5,000, maybe 4,500, something like this. And but fortunately, that when we see the impact factor, 2025, what I evaluated from the numbers, it could be 10.3. But now what I see from some official, that in China official evaluation system, already that put in the last month about 9.9. So this 10.3, I just calculated so several days ago. So anyway, it's good that 2025, we could be over 10. So this is a very good thing for this journal. And what you could see that impact factor changes. And also we have bigger increase of the paper publications. So in this, to compare with other energy related journals of Elsevier. So Elsevier, we consider energy journal is a flagship journal in energy alien because we have bigger number of published papers and also bigger number of submissions. And what do we see that also the rejection rate, so for different countries, and also the contribution, what you could see China is the biggest contributor for the nearly about more than 70% that submitted from China, Chinese authors. And also for China, actually, we had a rejection rate for Chinese about 78%. For Indian, that's 91%. Iran, 85%. So this is a rejection rate. So Poland, 74, and Spain, 64. So this is according to the data. It's just to show that, but submission from China is big. So in this case, to keep this journal always in Q1, especially Chinese Q1 is very important because if we didn't make changes, it will influence a lot for the submission. And also, this shows accepted top 10 countries, regions by accepted papers with a rejection rate. So, for example, in China, so what you could see, the rejection rate is about 78%, but we have desk rejection rate already, 65. And then standard rejection rate, 13. So desk rejection rate is that the manager editor, desk rejected. And if it's past the manager editor, it's assigned to the subject editor, maybe another 13%. So then this was the rejection rate, but for the desk rejection rate and the standard rejection rate, whatever we have for this, we are making improvement for the journal. If we see 2024, normally time to first edition, originally 32 days, and also review time, 126 days, and the submission to acceptance, 149 days. So 2025, that's our new editor border. We try to make improvement. So time to the first edition, 8 days, and the review time, 57 days. So this is a bigger decrease. But a submission to acceptance is about 126 days. So what I have some estimation for 2026. Now we could have time to the first decision. That means desk rejection. So normally in 4 days. And then review time, mostly about 35 days. And also submission for acceptance could be about 100 days. So in this case, it's a big improvement. But I think most subject editors, today there are many of our subject editors here. So each of you contribute a lot. So in this case, to keep the efficiency of the journal, so more impact. And now it's more welcome for the author. But to compare with applied energy and energy conversion and management, we are still a little bit lag behind. But I think we are making improvement. So estimated rejection rate currently could be about 85%. So when some authors feel not happy and rejected, normally it is based on one rejection and two major revision, something like that. So the author will be not happy. But in this case, I told them, because we have so big numbers of submission, we have rejection rate 85%. So if you got peer review with rejection, and if the editor fear this evaluation is reasonable, so it should be rejected. So this is at the moment we have. And nearly about 60%, that's a desk rejection from the manager editor and also subject editors. So top 10 countries and the regions I accepted. So what do you see that China is have a so big a number of accepted papers. So we are the biggest contribution. So in this case, I thought with Elsevier, it's not possible to have so many APC submission from China. So the open access, because now just several weeks ago for Nature Communication, Science Advance, and some APC journals, especially MDPI journals, I think now it's the market in China, a bigger program. But unfortunately, because for the journals, why we could enjoy submission mode, because most of the research universities in China, the library, the university gave a lot of money to buy with the submission mode. So in this case, so most of technical and high-ranking universities, they have the access of the journals. So no, in this case, APC papers is a little bit difficult actually. So this just shows by decisions and with rejection letters. And this shows impact factor and for the changes already I have presented. And we had submissions. So 2024, that is 25,000, and 2025, that's 30,000. And this year could be about 32 or 35,000. Oh, it's come back. Sorry, it's coming back. Okay. And for the journal comparisons, scopes, side scores, what do we find? Applied energy and energy conversion and management is higher than energy. But for the journal citations, for the total number of citations, energy is the biggest because we have a bigger number of publications. So in this case, in general, for the impact, the energy due to the bigger publications and still high impact. So we have a strong inference. So 2025, we see that for applied energy, its impact factor is 3.1. And with a published number, 1,719. But for energy, that's 5,370. And then ECM, that's only Web of Science, and whatever we could see that when we have so huge numbers, so then I discussed with Nevin that we are in greater danger and we need to reduce the number. But I think, fortunately, I think maybe the impact of the journal or last year, we have a very active work, and so in this case, we still increase the impact factor. So now I'm in release of this kind of danger. I think we are safe, but still we could try our best to make a further improvement. So what do you see? Applied energy, because last 2024, its impact factor number is less than energy conversion and management. So then they made some changes. Changing from 2,365 to about 1,779. So they have a reduction. So in this case, they get increase again. Yeah. But for the energy conversion or management, it's stable. But for us, we are increasing for energy. So now we could say energy is a flagship journal with a stabilizing of impact. Now, last year that was 9.4, and it will be expected the release in this June maybe 10.3, but it should be more than 10. So it's good that for this journal. But anyway, so we wanted to make, because energy is a so broad scope, and then we discussed it because Elsevier published so many journals, and they have some new spin-off, some new journals. For example, hydrogen energy already available, and wind energy, and so on. So in this case, we make some changes and try to make the focus of energy for the scope so more focused on the mechanical engineering and the thermal science, with a strong focus on thermal energy and integrated energy systems. For the electrical energy, it's integrated with the thermal. And in this case, it's an integrated energy system. And energy planning and energy management. So this is actually, but also we have the papers for energy conversion, energy efficiency, biomass and bioenergy, renewable energy, energy storage, energy building, and economical and energy policy, and so on. But normally, it's a broader multidisciplinary scope of energy. But we fear something out of scope. So since last year, so I think originally the submission for combustion fuels and a pure heat transfer and a pure fluid flow and a pure wind turbine, it's not a wind energy system, and a pure hydro pump and a pure energy resources and mining. So we think it's out of scope of energy. So in this case, it will be desk rejected. So in this case, we could more focus for the energy. So for the desk rejection of submitted papers, so we ask the managing editor to do the desk rejection with some considerations. And also there are a lot of papers from paper mail. There are big increase from paper mail. And usually they are using public email address. And if it's Chinese, also they're using Gmail. I think it's a big problem. So mostly there are some people that are doing the business using Gmail. And also someone that do not care of the early energy publication potential we consider about out of the scope, or some papers, single authors. It's a single authors is a, I think Professor, I asked her questions because she contributed very good papers in single author, but mostly for engineering work, what do we find some single authors when they are submitted and approved and a major revision, and then in the revision process, they will add new authors. When they add new authors, so it's a serious ethics problem. And also other things, So some also groups, we could get 5 or 6 authors from different countries, from China, from Pakistan, from Iran, and also from Saudi Arabia. So it's very popular. When we got this several group also, because it may already they share different authors. And then this everyone get their number. First author, second author, or the corresponding authors. So in this case, so they're submitted for the journal. So if they're submitted this way, it's we think maybe we need a constellation. So what my feeling, what we had, several foreigners from Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, or some, they are in a very remote area, Chinese university, and they are making research of the solid waste in Dalian for the research. So in this case, we find a big problem and then make investigation and then find out so all the data. That's not true. So this is something problem. And also we get papers with no authors, no institutions, and the contact information on the title page, and so on. Okay, so there are many of these kind of things, and now we are using desk rejection and try to get the more papers from paper mail rejected, and then we also deal with some ethics cases in energy. So it's normally it's my responsibility when some complaint send a message to us, and then we need to make investigation. We have also educated to work together. Okay, so now in the last years, every year we have increase of it because increase submission, also increase of the ethical cases in energy, and then we made analysis, but this were waste a lot of time for us, and it's a very complicated issue. And I had also several examples because this example says not only these examples actually from Gmail. I think this guy is from paper mail, and so maybe later he's not happy, and then he complained several papers from paper mail, and even they contact with us if you feel not true, I could give you so some verification of receipt of payment, something like that. So for example, 20 references from Muhammad, so from Pakistan, and so then we find that this one is a paper maker, and he wrote the paper, but do not use his name, and using other names, and then other names that's fake, and then when it's past the major revision, then they add new authors, and but meanwhile they added a lot of papers of him for the citation. Okay, so I think I will jump over for this, and we have some example, but I will come no time now. And what we could see for the JCR, so actually for the energy and fuels, and also for thermodynamics for energy. So, and also the publications, what you see that mostly from Chinese universities. So from Chinese Academic Science University, and also North China Electrical Power University, Xi'an Jiaotong, and China University of Petroleum, and Tsinghua University, and so on. So the most important universities in energy area that's involved, the published paper in energy. And okay, finally, I think last year we get an impact factor 9.4, but we could expect more than 10 for 2025. It will be released in June. And but I think we are still increase of the paper number, but we will try to control it, try to make more certification of the journal for the authors and the leaders. So thank you very much for your kind of support.
Thank you very much, Professor Hrvoje. We continue with Christoforos Verkides, the editor-in-chief of the Applied Thermal Engineering. So, Christoforos. All right. Okay, so I have 3 slides, and I'm going to take somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes, I hope. This is just a personal introduction slide for anyone who doesn't know me. I work at Imperial College London. I've been there for, well, I joined in 2008, so I guess almost 20 years. I've been involved with journals in some kind of editor capacity for 15 years, and I've been editor-in-chief of Applied Thermal Engineering for almost 10. I'm also an editor-in-chief of a newer journal, which is called AI Thermal Fluids. I think the title of that newer journal tells you everything you need to know about its scope, so I'm not going to describe it. I'm going to talk about applied thermal engineering today. And the reason I'm cutting the time down short is because I think you want to, right? And you want to answer those questions. Okay, so let's go. I have 3 buttons. Okay, what do you need to know about applied thermal engineering? So it started in 1981. So a little bit younger, right, than say journals like Energy. It was renamed Applied, so it wasn't traditionally thermal engineering journal. It was in a sort of more energy and fuels area, and it changed. In 1995, it became Applied Thermal Engineering. The first editor-in-chief of Applied Thermal Engineering was someone called David Ray. His successor was someone called Tim Zhao, who is now in Shenzhen, Zhao Tianchu. And then I took over about 10 years ago, 9, whatever it was. And Tim Zhao went and became editor of International Journal of Heat and Mass Transfer, right? So he's there now. A very good friend of mine, and he's the reason why I'm here speaking to you today. Very important thing for you to know is that we are not an energy journal. Within Elsevier, this is something you need to know. Within Elsevier, there are different families of journals, groups of journals. In one group, you have energy, applied energy, energy conversion and management, renewable energy, etc., 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 renewable energy, and so on. There is a completely different group of journals, which is called thermal and fluids. You can see it there, or fluids and thermal. And this is a group of journals that has, say, things like Applied Thermal Engineering, International Journal of Heat and Mass Transfer Communications, case studies in thermal, and so on. So I think you know them. So we're a different group, and we do not compete with the energy journals. We're a different community. Actually, our community is a little bit smaller, okay? So thermal engineering is a subset of energy, okay? We have 35 editors at the moment. We have 1 editor-in-chief. We don't do multiple editors-in-chiefs or multiple deputy editors-in-chiefs. We don't believe in this model. We are very happy to fight with other people later about this. We are the highest impact factor journal in our area. Be careful. We're not competing with energy and applied energy. We are a fluids and thermal journal. Highest impact factor, highest size score, highest H5 index, which is something published by Google, okay? And we are the largest by publications and submissions journal in our area, okay? We receive about 15,000 submissions every year. Our rejection rate is actually the same. All of these journals that you're hearing about today have a rejection rate between 80–85%, somewhere in there, okay? About. I don't know about other journals, but in our journal, about half of those 80% that get rejected, about half are rejected without review. Don't be disappointed, right? If you submit a paper and it just comes straight back at you, okay? It's very common for this to happen. It's not someone attacking you personally. It's called a desk rejection for us. It just comes back to you. The other half of are during review, the various stages before it goes to accept. Okay. And by publications, we're 2 or 3 times larger than our closest competitors, and I won't tell you who those closest competitors are, other than to say that their name starts with International Journal of Heat and Mass Transfer. I'm just joking. Of course, Tim Zhao is a very, very dear friend, and we're all friends here, okay? And remember that one day we're in one journal, the next day we're in another journal, okay? So I think I covered everything I want to say about our journal. I want to just say a few things. Thank you very much actually to Professor Wang before me, and also Sodiris at the beginning, who mentioned a lot of problems that we're having with ethical cases, they seem to be getting worse. And in my opinion, something that hasn't been mentioned today is a lack of coordination between the journals. And unfortunately, it's not because that the journals don't want to work with each other. We want to work with each other and talk to each other and coordinate, but the publisher has walls in between the different journals on purpose. But this is something we can discuss later during the panel and tonight over after the first 3 or 4 beers. Okay. My last slide. Everyone starts out wanting to be a reviewer, and then you become an editor. Hopefully you're writing papers in the meantime. So the first step, if you want to get involved with journals, right, is you can go to this is not about applied thermal engineering in particular. This is for any journal you want. You can go there, right? You can type the name of the journal you're interested in. I think the first one I got involved with was energy, actually. So you type energy there, and then it lists some journals, and you can sign up to be a reviewer. You have to be a little bit patient. The journals are not going to pick master students, right? And then slowly, okay, over time, you get some experience. It's good. And then maybe they invite you to become an editor. And then maybe if you're lucky, you become higher than that. Okay. I don't know how long I took, but I hope I was, yeah? Okay. Thank you very much. And I hope to receive your questions later.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So I'm just here to present the Journal of Cleaner Production. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, so it's also published by Elsevier. And at the moment, these are the stats for the journal: an impact factor of 10, size score of 20.7, and it is a Q1 journal. Actually, it's in its 90th percentile already based on Scopus. So for the Journal of Cleaner Production, we have 3 editors-in-chief, Cecilia, Maite, and Yuta Wang from Fudan University. I'm just one of the executive editors for the Journal of Cleaner Production. It is a very big journal, and we do have a total of 129 editors, including executive editors and associate editors. So for the aims and scope of the cleaner production, essentially what we want to focus on is on the preventive side of pollution. So it's an interdisciplinary journal, and it wants to look at preventing the production of waste and increasing efficiencies on the utilization of different resources. So here are the subject areas that we look at. But since the journal is, okay, before I go into that, there have been issues regarding ethics that have been mentioned earlier, but I wanted to focus on some new policies from Elsevier. Essentially, they're being more strict with regards to changes in authorship. So before you do your submission, please make sure that you have all the contributing authors already listed in your article. And of course, with the increase in the use of AI, all journal submissions now require a declaration for the generative AI use. Essentially, you can make use of it, but just for improving perhaps the grammar of your manuscript, and should not be used to be a substitute for human critical thinking. So the publishing options for the Journal of Cleaner Production, we do open access as well as by subscription. And here are the details for the publishing timeline in terms of submission to first decision and to final acceptance. A bit longer than energy for submission to acceptance. We are abstracted in the following databases. And since the journal is really growing, we get up to 40,000 submissions in any given year, publish about 4,000 of those. So to cater to the growing community, the journal has actually launched the Cleaner brand family of journals. So there are an additional 13 other journals, all open access, focusing on niche areas that are related or associated to cleaner production. So this is my final slide. I'd like to invite you. The Global Cleaner Production Conference will be happening in Spain in October 2026 to 2029. You can scan the QR code if you want to have more details on submission and other things. That's all.
Thank you very much, Kathleen. Very efficient, time efficient. Okay,
we move on to our last editor-in-chief, Professor Chu Wong from the Energy Storage and Saving Journal.
Okay, so the previous editor-in-chief are actually all well-established flagship journal. Our journal is a newcomer, younger generation. So I hope give some introduction to.
While we wait, maybe you can already think about your questions that you will put in front of the editors that are here. Also, we have a colleague from Elsevier with us here. So she will, I have a question for her. I don't see where, okay. And don't worry about the dinner. So I moved it, postponed it a little bit. Everything will be hot and ready, so it will not get cold. So do not worry about this. Maybe while we wait, I would like to point to something that Christos has said about the communication between the journals, but not just between the journals, between the publishers. I can give you my personal experience that I have. So it is related to while I was doing some review and searching for the literature, checking what has been published. I noticed two papers published by same first author that was completely same, but different numbers. So it was the text, the tables, everything was the same in different journals. So it was the different structure of the text. But when you read it, it is completely the same. The review part and all the equations and everything, only the results and numbers were different. And so I, at that time, communicated with Nevin that had more experience what to do. So it's a clear ethical issue. So what I communicated this to the editor-in-chiefs of both journals, send them the papers, and they had a look, and later on, it was decided that they will be retracted because of the clear ethical issue that has been violated. So it is also not just on the editors, but in my opinion, it is also on the authors that recognize this to inform the editors of what has been done. Sorry for taking your time. Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for this. I will try to finish my presentation in 5 minutes. Yeah, okay. So our journal is a new comer. So this is a so introduction about this is a journal. Actually, it's collaborated with Ke and Elsevier and by Xi'an Jiaotong University. And here you can see the site score for our journal is increased very fast. So we expect to could be indexed by Web of Science this year. And here, the journal we have owners from China. From China, you can see we get many owners. And here is myself, the editor-in-chief, and Professor Tao, my professor, is the honorary editor-in-chief. Actually, we have many, honorary editorial members, including some famous professors in the energy journals. And the publication, if you look at actually, we have a lot of submission up to now. So, every year we only publish about 50 papers. It's a quite small number. So the submission is, so if you look at the rejection rate is quite high, actually. So you can see the publication from different countries, from different you know, different countries and different universities. And here, you know, you can see some mechanic. Actually, you can more than 15 of the contribution ranked from some very top universities. And here are some the scopes citation from our journal is it started in 2022 among and achieve about 24 million target push distributions, and a total number of almost 200 articles were published in official WeChat. And we also organized an international conference in from 2002, the same year of the journal. And this morning I mentioned the conference, so welcome to our conference. Submission review, the editor. We also use the EM platform, which is quite convenient, and the publication cycle, the review publication time. So, and you can see quite short time. And our online publication period is about 16 weeks. And the submission link you can see here. And thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Very much. So I would kindly ask Professor Hrvoje Wang that you come here. Christos, that you come sit here. Kathleen. Professor Chu Wang. And yeah, join us here. Here. Yes. Okay. So first of all, I would like that I will give the opportunity to our fifth panelist on site, introduces herself very shortly.
Hello, everyone. I'm from elsewhere, and I'm very honored to join you today because I meet so many researchers, and so I'm from Article Transfer Service Group. So if you have any questions regarding on the article transfer, you can ask me.
Thank you very much. I will start with the short questions just to facilitate the discussion, and it will be regarding the transfer of the papers, so that the authors have, I'll say, a little bit of insight. How do you decide after desk rejection and suggestion that the paper doesn't fit the scope of that particular journal, to which journal to send the paper?
Yeah, so like for the article transfer service group, it's yeah. So we have currently three ways for this articles to transfer. First, is from the recommendation of the everyone here from the editors. Sometimes they give some recommendations, and on the other hand, so because we are a group of in-house editors, we also have academic backgrounds, and we have many subjects matters to different journals, and we often maybe have some conversations or meeting with the editors in the receiver journals. So when we deal with a reject paper based on the content of the paper, sometimes it's not because of the low quality, it's because just not fit for that journal. So based on the content of that journal, we try to find a suitable journal for the author, and the third method is we have some analytical tool. It's very it's reliable, so the confidential is no problem, and so that's the third way we do the article transfer, and we do this. We want the author to like speed up their publication path, so we want to give them a shorter time to publish their paper.
Thank you very much. Okay, now is your time. So you have 6 respected editors here in front of you. If you want to ask them questions, it is a great opportunity. Okay, let's introduce yourself and make a question.
I am Lee Sun from Southeast University, and this question may be better for Professor Wang. He know more about it. We know that recently, China is witnessing the very big recruitment of PhD students. We have more and more PhD students. So every PhD student needs to submit more papers. So I think every journal, applied energy, ECM, and other journals may receive much more submission than ever before. So my students reported to me that some papers of the same quality, it can be sent to review or even be accepted. But in just the recent 6 months, these kind of quality papers cannot get the opportunity for peer review and or peer review and then finally rejected. And I asked them, do you take serious concern or do you make much effort in improving the paper? But they answered me, no, we made much effort and the quality is very good as our previous publication. But now we cannot get the opportunity of peer review. Is that true? Is this the case? Because in Southeast University, we may have 200 or 300 more PhD students every year. So such PhD students, they need to publish. So it's a problem, I think. Okay.
Thank you for your question.
Yes, I think this is a very good question. Actually, I'm sure that in the next several years, we have more increase of PhD student number. So for example, Shanghai Jordan University, so now this year, we have 1 year could have nearly about 5,000 PhD students to earn. So in this case, if we consider that for 4 years, and then in the university will be about 20,000 students, PhD. So if we achieve PhD wanted to publish 3 papers, I think most of them need 3 papers. So this is why that most of the people is from China. So that's a bigger number. So we could also consider that now for energy actually now we have, I think not only energy, but even for applied energy and energy conversion, energy management, they also increase very, maybe more than 20,000 or something like that. So in this case, in total, I think for our publisher is happy with a bigger number increase. And for example, if we are energy, if we have 5,000 and the impact factor is 10, you could multiply 5,000 to 10 to compare with that 1,000 only 11 or 12. So the impact, total influence, I think for the publisher, actually, this is good. But for us, never, and me, we have another thing that we also want to increase, but we do not want the impact to drop down. So in this case, we need a balance. But meanwhile, we had other journals, for example, Blank for smart energy. He complains to me to say, why the scope is in duplication of smart energy. Energy, you have so bigger, so wide scope. So in this case, you get us no submissions. But actually, I told him we are not make competition with smart energy because smart energy is just a partner journal of energy. And so we have the same editor people. But the reason is that they need for energy, needn't pay. So by a subscription So in this case, this is the case. So now I think it started from just January of 2025, especially started from the middle of last year. We start to use manager editors because originally before we do not have manager editors. That means every papers will be assigned to the subject editor. So because we have so big numbers of to hand, so we learn from just applied energy and energy conversion management. And in this case, get more desk rejection. So originally 100% assigned and then will be sent to review, but then only about 40 or 50% will assigned to send. So in this case, I'm sorry that we have to change it, but I think the published papers now we have more opportunity. I think, but it's a pity. But we are trying to make improvement.
Thank you for your answer. Other questions? Okay, introduce yourself and.
Hello everyone. Myself Akhil Kumar Gupta. I'm a PhD researcher from India, IIT BHU. So I just wanted to ask a question that at the time of desk rejection, we get an answer that your work, implies the aim and scope of the journal, and because we are doing, work in the same field like carbon capture, so we cannot change the methodology, we cannot change the apparatus of our laboratory in every experimental work, in every research paper. But we get in return that it somehow matches your previous work, 10%, 5%, but it well fitted in your in the aims and scope of the journal. We are, using the novel methodology. We are, incorporating the modeling in the next work. But still, we are, getting rejected. What is the reason behind it from the desk rejection? Why it is not going to the peer review? The solvent is novel. The methodology, is the same, but the novelty is there in terms of modeling, simulation, etc.
And I think because carbon capture is one topic of energy, but if you just do the submission only the capture materials and all research is materials, then we consider it's not our scope. And we are focused more on the system level. So this is the main program.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? Okay, there is a question. Maybe to introduce yourself and direct the question to a specific editor.
Let's ask everyone, okay. Hello, dear editors. My name is Jakub Čespiva. I come from the Technical University of Ostrava in the Czech Republic. And I have a rather curious question. And I actually wanted to say that, that it doesn't really matter who's going to answer that. And the discussion may break off also, even better. A rather curious question that was not discussed before, maybe for a purpose, I don't know. But I'm wondering about your point of view regarding, or maybe you can give some insights regarding the collaboration between journals, such as you manage, and the conferences, such as this one, like Grant's SDEWES conference, or even some other conferences which are less Grant. What's the opposite of Grant? Yeah, what do you see from your perspective in this collaboration? I'm asking because there was this rumor that Elsevier is not so willing to connect journals with conferences. So maybe a few words regarding this topic. Thank you.
Who wants to take the, okay.
Okay, I can go first, so I'll make all the mistakes that everyone can correct me later. As far as I know, and I've been playing this game a little while, there is no Elsevier-wide policy with regard to not supporting conferences. In the end, Elsevier is a number of senior publishers. It's broken down into many, many journals, and different journals have their own priorities with regard to whether they support special issues from conferences or not. And here, so Professor Wang already said that everybody and each journal, right, has a very difficult balance, right, and decisions to make about their impact, their size, their role in the community, and so on, right? And some journals might decide that we don't want to publish too many special issues, for example, because we know that the citations per paper in those special issues is lower than normal ones, okay? And other journals might take the view that, well, okay, we'll take the hit on our impact factor, but we're playing an important role in the community by disseminating that work. because journals are also for that, yes? There is no acceptable and agreed policy across the journals. This is a journal level decision. And I've never heard Elsevier saying, guiding people to or not to support conferences. And I can tell you that in my journal, so that statement is general, but just to make it specific in my case, we're aware that special issues from conferences are tricky business for our impact factor, but we're happy to do that because we believe that it's an important role for our journal in the community. Full stop.
Maybe I'll just add, for the Journal of Cleaner Production, there was a discussion about special issues. And at the moment, the journal is no longer entertaining special issues, primarily because of the volume of submissions that we're already receiving. So, but for the newly launched journals, I think those journals are still open for special issues.
Okay, thank you for answering. Any other questions? Okay.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm Mac Joseph Rosales. I'm currently taking up my master's degree in chemical engineering in De La Salle University, Philippines. So for my first question, for the energy and storage, for energy storage and saving, is there a place for what they call this? Is there a structural place for particularly testing new materials for energy storage and production? For negative results. For example, you're testing novel materials, but it ended up
Yeah.
apologies for difficulty. So I would like to inquire if there is still a place. Is there still a place for the journal to consider negative results for testing novel materials for energy storage?
What kind of materials? Okay, so you mean the energy storage materials? What? Yeah. So actually, we have so our journal is basically focused on the energy storage and the saving. If we look at the storage, we have actually different kind of storage, of course, including material, I think. So it's our journal. I just mentioned it's a relatively new one, so we would like to have some iteration. Maybe in the future we will modify the scope and something related to the journal. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to facilitate some questions to our online colleagues. So to include them, nothing has been said to how to do what are the best practices of responding to reviewers' comments. So we were just talking now about test rejection, the rejection rate, but finally, hopefully, when someone passes the managing editors and everything and goes under the view, gets the comments from the reviewers, what are the best practices? So
Can I reply?
what mistakes, baby steps to avoid?
Can I reply myself?
Yes, please.
Okay, of course, I have a special presentation of how to write a good paper, which includes also this, how to reply to reviewers. And of course, the basic things is that, first of all, do not ignore anyone. If you say that, okay, I don't like this reviewer number 2, for example, comments, and I will not reply, the most possible outcome would be to get the rejection. from reviewer number 2 because we ignore him. Or do not say that, okay, I remember I have a case saying that this reviewer number so-and-so was probably drunk because he says nonsense. Come on, what do you expect him to do afterwards? He will definitely reject your paper. So we need to be very careful, take point by point, reply as positively as possible, do all the changes requested. If it's something that is totally wrong that is said by the reviewer, or is something that is included in the paper, the reviewer did notice, just indicate to him, please look at section 3, paragraph 4, for example. This point that you make is clearly shown there, or even probably try to improve that if it's not so clear, maybe. Because when people complaining to me, I usually say it is up to the author to explain the work they have done very, very clearly to not only to the reviewers, but also to the future readers of the paper. Because if the paper is clean and self-understandable without allowing any hints or any clause or anything that is not very clear, the more citations eventually it will get, because people understanding it and using it have no reason not to cite it afterwards. And this is quite important. So the secret is to pay attention, address all points thoroughly. In case that you don't want to reply to something, indicate clearly why you don't want to reply. Maybe it's beyond the scope of the paper. Sometimes reviewers may ask things that this was not the original purpose of that paper. There is no limit. I mean, the thing is that to pay attention and reply as clearly as possible, and always in a polite way. Don't make it like I'm the best guy. And I used to have a professor some time ago say to me that I never get a rejection. Why did you reject my paper? Because it's not a good paper. It's finished. I mean, and there's always a first time for everything. So this is not a reply to reviewer. The reply needs to be polite, and needs to be to a point. And even if the reviewer is not right, indicate why it is not right. This
Thank you very much.
Generic, let's say, position.
Thank you very much, Professor Kaloglu. We have time for two more questions. So,
Hi, I just have a more of a philosophical question around review papers. And, you know, we've all noticed that the number of review papers in the last decade have increased exponentially. And I have colleagues now that they're just really all they do is review papers with consortiums of people and have more citations than professors that have graduated, you know, 50 PhD students. So it sort of made me question with review papers, also the introduction of AI, and they essentially can do review papers and will get better and be able to automate those things anyway. So we just human GPU in those cases. So I just have more of a question, yeah, with review papers and I guess with editors in general, and their thoughts on where we're going with review papers, and I guess as academics, what are our roles in terms of doing fundamental new research or doing synthesis research? I know it's a very valuable task to be done by PhD students as their first paper. I ask my students to do it, but I'm just thinking now, you know, more on a higher level, what is our purpose as academics and researchers?
is it directly to a certain editor? Okay, maybe to give floor a little bit to Ana Maria.
This question is especially for Professor Kaloglu, I believe, because it's a review paper. I just want to add something. I just want to add something that I believe, from my perspective, that we have to change the narrative. I mean, we are just focusing on publishing paper, getting citations, but this is not the point. We are not doing research to finally get citation, to finally increase our age index. We need to research and to work to change the world, to make an impact. And this cannot be measured only by citation. This is why there is an increased number of review papers, because of course they provide authors much more citation, and for the career for university is very much important. But I really hope that this narrative could change a little bit, and young researchers will go back to the research, so to study and to provide impact for the real world, not only for the academia and for their career. This is my opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I may say something, of course, it's
Yes,
not
please.
to have only review papers. And of course, whenever this person that has only review papers apply for an academic position, most probably he will not be selected because somebody will examine his CV, will say, okay, what is the research that you have done? What is your contribution to knowledge? What is your contribution to the scientific community? It's nothing eventually. So, okay, you may have a very high profile, but this number by itself never says the truth. You need to put it into perspective with many other things like research funding obtained, like the number of research papers, like citations from those research papers, and how many people build on your work and create something else. So this is more important. Of course, we cannot stop somebody publishing only review papers, except if it's applying for the journal Energy, where we have our own rules there, and somebody wanting to apply for publishing a review paper in Energy needs to prove that he has done a lot of research work into that area, because we are interested in this kind of review papers in the Energy Journal, not somebody that's a PhD student just collected 100 papers, created either machine help with machine help or by himself created the review paper and submitted. We will not accept such things. We always look into the person itself, and we are interested, as I said, to people that they have a lot of research area in the area. Even if they have a lot of research in other areas, it's not suitable for the Energy Journal. They need to prove this. So I think I covered everything, and it's definitely wrong. Just to conclude, definitely wrong to have only review papers. You may have a very high impact factor yourself, but your value is nothing eventually, because you have no scientific contribution to the general scientific community of your area.
Thank you very much. And the final question that we have.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. Just a quick one about how to reply to reviewers. How we should behave when we find a clear review that comes from AI. Should we ask AI to reply their comments and modify accordingly, or should we work ourselves on that? Thank you.
Who would like to take the lead in answering this question? Okay.
I can take over if you want. Usually people that receive comments that they believe that they are made by AI, they write privately to the editor and saying this fact. And I have a case lately that he did that, and it was obvious that it was machine created comments. When I wrote to the reviewer, he confirmed that, okay, yes, I'm using it, and I will continue to use it. So of course I removed the reviewer capacity of this person, because his comments were very, very generic, saying nothing eventually. So sometimes it's very easy to identify, sometimes it's not so easy, especially for people that they get the AI generated comments and they read the papers themselves and add or expand those comments as well. So it's but we have another case nowadays, the case of whenever you don't like a reviewer comment, you say, okay, these are machine generated and I don't want to reply. Come on. You cannot prove this thing unless it's very obvious. So it's a balance of handling these cases in a very, very specific way, and each individual case, of course, it has its own merits and its own characteristics. So you cannot generalize of that. Unfortunately, we are living in this world of AI supporting many facts of our life, and of course, publishing is one of the area of which is affected mostly, I would say. And myself, to say the truth, when I received this paper saying that they have this declaration that they have used AI to improve the language, always I'm very skeptical. Is it just this or some other things as well? And of course, if it's a research paper, it's not easy, the machine, to create new research. But if it's a review paper that we accept as the Renewable and Sustainable Energy Reviews Journal, then this is even more serious. But I hope, and I put it forward to my publisher, that Elsevier needs to spend time and effort and money maybe to create a tool to identify these cases, if it's possible to create such a tool. I don't know, but it's a big issue actually, and you never be sure. And sometimes you get people feel upset when you say, okay, your paper is machine generated and I reject it. He will get upset and come back to you and asking why, what are the proofs, why do you say this? I'm a very good scientist and I don't allow you to say these bad words for me, and all these things that are joined also with the human nature in a sense. So it's not an easy work that we live with this machine support that we have today.
Appreciate the answer. So now I have for the closing 2 questions for the audience. When you listen to everything of what has been said, if you can raise your hands, for you, is it important to get published faster? So if you want to that your papers get published by journals more faster, is it important for you or not? Raise your hand if it is. Come on, raise your hand. Don't be shy. Yeah. Okay. So how many of those that raise the hands make more than 2 reviews per month? Okay. This is good to see. So as a final remark, I would say I would have a kind request for you. It is also that you contribute to the community and do the review. So yeah. Thank you very much. And we go for the dinner, and thank you, our online presenters. It was very much appreciated. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the conference.
Thank you very much and enjoy your meal, your dinner. Unfortunately, we have only lunch for us. Goodbye.